All right, here we go. So I really would like everybody to look through here now and tell me if they have any questions with maybe 1 through 10. Well, I can blow it up a little bit higher. Let's do that. Let's just go 1 through 6. All right. Anybody have any questions? Go.
Oh, I never mind.
Just 1 through 6. Everybody's pretty good with that, right? Maybe 7 through 12 now. Remember, if you want me to say something about it, just put your hand up and say, show me how to do one. Yes.
Number 9.
All right, so let's take a look at number 9. Here's how my recommendation is on number 9, okay? When you're dealing with square roots, all right, to me, I always try to look for what's common. What's common?
13.
So you pull out a 13. What's left behind?
2.
A 2. Does everybody see how easy that was? Because again, if you're not sure about that, that's the square root of 13 times the square root of 13 times 2. Because there are two 13s, it comes out as 1 13. Much, much, much easier to do it that way. That's how I want you to think about it. Yes. All right, anybody have any other questions with 9? Number 8. Can we go through number 8? All right. So if we look at number 8 now, 500 breaks down to 5 times 100. Y to the 9th breaks down to y to the 8th times y. Do you agree with that? And then it's just a matter of seeing that 100 is a perfect square. Square root of 100 is 10. Square root of y to the 8th is y to the 4th. And then 5xy is left over. You agree with that? Yes, sir. All right, let's take a look at 11. Now, number 11, you're just distributing, right?
Oh,
Do I need to do anything else? All right, the first page before we leave. Anybody else want me to explain something?
12.
12, let's look at 12. All right, yeah, let me walk you through number 12 because I think number 12 is a good thing to review. Now, if you wanted to, the average person would just say that's the square root of 12 minus the square root of 18. And then you just break it down from there. The square root of 12 is 4 times 3 minus 9 times 2. So that's 2 radical 3 minus 3 radical 2. Everybody see that? But I think there's a better way. I really want you to think better about numbers. All right? So what I'm telling you is, does everybody agree that the square root of 6 is the same as 2 times 3, right? So now, this 2 and this 2 comes out as a what? And then 3 is left behind. And now when you multiply this and this together, that comes out as a what? And a 2 is left behind. Does everybody see that same answer, right? This is how I prefer you do it, the way on the left. Because if the numbers are bigger, it's harder. All right, when the numbers are small, it's not too hard. All right, let's look at the next page. "13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, what happens to the middle term? Dalton, you okay with this or not? Everything good? All right, let's shrink it down a little bit. Anybody else on 13, 14, or 16?
You do a 14?
Now, 14 is just a matter of you combining terms, right? So I broke 20 down to 4 times 5. And 49 was a perfect square.
So is it, that's more than?
Yeah. Good. And now you just add the radicals.
Mhm.
But you cannot add these two things together.
Mhm.
Everybody okay? Anybody? Okay, scrolling it forward a little bit. We're going to take a look, 17 through 20. Now, number 20, you're just rationalizing the denominator, right? But before you do that, you want to break down 8. 8 is the same as 2 radical 2.
Oh, and then you multiply by, yeah.
Rationalizing the denominator.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions? Good.
I'm confused on how you got from 2 radical 2 to 2 radical 3.
I multiplied the top and bottom by the denominator.
Oh.
Right, so I multiplied by the square root of 11. You happy about that now? All right, does anybody else have any questions? Good job. All right, let's look at 19.
So you only multiply by the
That's right. That's right. Just multiply the top and bottom by radical 3. Good. Good. That's what I'm saying. Some of you guys now are figuring out. Give yourself some time. Look at the solution. It's much better if you figure out what you did wrong. Much, much better.
So when the radical 3 and the radical 3 cancel on the bottom one, so after they cancel, it's always going to be multiplication.
Always. Because that's what holds those things together. Multiplication. That's 6 times radical 3. Right? All right, here we go. 21, 22, 23, 24. Now they start repeating a little bit, so, all right, you should be pretty good. Anybody? Everybody's feeling pretty good about it? Good, come on, it's all right.
With 26, you just multiply by.
I'm putting it up here. I'm look up there, follow the notes.
Okay. I got
Yes, ma'am, good for you. Let's look at 22 for a quick second. You see what I did? When you're squaring it, you're multiplying exactly the same, right? So you good with this now? All right, guys, come on. That's pretty good. Anybody have any questions? What? Okay, let's look at 26 again. Reed, are you okay with that, buddy? All right. Somebody else. What? 16. Hey, guys, look, come on now. That's what I'm saying. You guys got to stay with me. Stay with me. Come on. There's 21. Right here comes 26. Dalton, what do you want? Yeah, let's take a 28. Come on now, Hubble. You guys, I don't want you playing around. Okay, everybody take a look at 28. You divide by 2, right? So the square root of x to the 6th is x cubed. Do you agree with that? And then the square root of 4 is 2. 2 times 4 is 8. You okay with this, Dalton, or not? Hey, anybody else? All right, like I said, the numbers now start to be the same. So speak up. Go.
For number 29, would you break it down? I was going to ask you to break it down to 36.
Now, yeah, remember now, 72 is a common problem. 72 is a common problem, all right? Because most people do 9 times 8 and forget that it's 36 times 2. But if you do 9 times 8, you just have to break down 8. Good? Yes, true. 26. See it again? You happy with that? You okay with that? All right, I'm going to switch up. We're going to go to 32 now. 32 is kind of straightforward. Does that make sense, Tyler? Square root of 5/3 is the same as square root of 5 over the square root of 3. I just rewrote it.
What's the solution?
Anybody? Before we start on the equations? 33. You okay with that? Yes.
Sorry, we left it 31.
You see that? Anybody with 35, 36, 37, 38? 40, bless you, 40 is kind of the one I want to talk about. All right, so everybody take a look at number 40. All right, I might put one on the test tomorrow that is just a bigger one. Right, so the first thing I would do is I would take the square root of 864. Everybody take out their calculator and do the square root of 864. Because it might be a perfect square. It's not a perfect square, but I want you to see. Yeah, so listen, if you take the square root of 864, hey, it doesn't work out evenly. So now we have to break it down. So one way to break it down, guys, is always to add the digits up. So 8 plus 6 plus 4 is 14. It's 18. Therefore, I know it's divisible by 9. So everybody take 864 divided by 9, please.
96.
So that's 9 times 96. X squared, y squared, y. Now, 96. All right, that can be broken down. All right, so I want you to divide it by 4. Somebody tell me what that divided by 4 is.
24.
Yeah, so now 9 times 4 times 24. And then 24 can break down to what? 6 times 4. So again, sometimes the numbers are just bigger. So it's not easy just to say that's what the answer is. So you got to be able to just try with your calculator and break them down. All right. So now, what's the square root of 9?
3.
Square root of 4.
2.
Square root of 4.
2.
Square root of x squared. Square root of y squared. And then what's left behind? 6y. Then multiply 3 times 2 times 2, which is... There you go. Yes. All right, where are we at now, guys? Anybody else? Before we start the equations. Yes. Remember, the first thing you do is 4 times 4, which is 16. Then you do the 2 smiley faces. You with me on this? And then the last part, which throws some kids off, 2 radical 2. You good with that? What? For what? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Bless you. All right, let's just go ahead and knock out 43 together. All right, what is the square root of 10 times 2 radical 10? 20, thank you. 20. Because again, radical 10 times radical 10 is what? 10. And then 10 times 2 is what? 20. Now you're going to multiply square root of 10 times negative 3. Negative 3 radical 10. Everybody okay with that? All right, here we go. You can't add or subtract them. You only add numbers with numbers and radicals with radicals. All right, so let's knock out 45. So 6 radical b minus 7 radical b minus 8 radical b. So that final answer is what? What is that, guys? Negative 9 radical b, right? Everybody okay with that? Anybody have any issues? All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and knock out 47. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 2 radical 7, minus 2 radical 7, minus 7. And the middle terms do what? So, yep, final answer, -3. All right. All right, 49. One times 2 is 2. Plus 4 radical 5. Plus 1 radical 5. Now we're doing from here to here, which would be plus 2 times 5. So your final answer is what? What?
12 plus 5.
12 plus 5 radical 5. Right? Anybody have any questions? I went 2 times 2. Right? So again, we're just following this pattern. This multiplied together and this multiplied. Alrighty? Now, 3 radical 5 squared is the same as 9 times 5, which is 45. Anybody have any questions with that? Any questions? Any questions? Yes. You're just reducing the fractions, okay? Does that make sense? Right. 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into 15 3. 7 goes into 7 once. 7 goes into 21 3. So it's just square root 3 times square root 3. Agreed?
51 considered equal 4 5, but since 3 rounds of 5 equals 90 times 5, right? Which equals 45, but it's squared. Why is it still 45?
That's what I'm saying. Right? You sure? Okay. All right, here we go. 2 radical 7 plus 3 squared. So remember, you got to write 2 radical 7 plus 3. 2 radical 7 plus 3. Four times 7, which is 28. Does anybody have any problem multiplying 2 radical 7 times 2 radical 7? And then you're doing your smiley face. Plus 6 radical 7. Plus 6 radical 7. Plus 9. 30 what?
37 plus 4.
Beautiful. All right, now the important stuff. Here we go. Or I'll try to go down and do the odds with you, okay? So number 1 should be relatively easy. How do we undo a square root? Square both sides. So you should put a 2 here and a 2 here. So you get negative b equals 64, right? And then change the sign. Exactly right. B is equal to negative 64. Anybody got any questions with that? Nobody? All right, let's figure out number 3 now. Oh, well. I'm going to squeeze it up here. All right, here we go. So for question number 3, I have to isolate the radical. So to isolate the radical, I have to subtract 3 first. 2 square root of 4r equals 8. And then I have to do what? Divide by 2. So now the radical is isolated. So now I do what to both sides? Square. So 4r is equal to, so r is equal to what? Beautiful. Now double check me on that. Make sure you're good.
So there can't be a number in front of the radical either.
Isolate the radical. All right, let's grab number 5. All right, so what do I have to do first? Add 3. Now what? Square. So k is equal to what, guys? K is 98. Anybody have any issues with that? Everybody's pretty good, right? All right, let's grab 7. Now I have to do what to both sides? Square both sides. So let's be careful now. 6t plus 12 equals 64 times 6, right? So now, watch. Please look up here, guys. I'm trying to help you. All right, without a calculator. Let's say you're taking a test. There's no calculator involved. Please look up here. I really don't want you to multiply 64 times 6. Why do I not need to multiply that by 6? You're going to divide by 6. Look right up here on the board, guys. So divide by 6, divide by 6, divide by 6. Come on now, I really need you to pay attention on what I just said. So that's what? T plus 2 equals what? Right? So T is equal to what?
Oh.
It's all right. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. I know. Here we go.
Why did you get oh?
So again, it's okay if you were to multiply by 6 and then subtract 12 and then divide by 6, guess what you're going to get? 62. But because I recognized right off the bat that there was a times 6, multiplied by 6, multiplied by 6, if all 3 terms are being multiplied by 6, I can then do what? Divide them all by 6. All right, that's a good little lesson right there.
So you want to divide the 6, you do not have to divide the 6 into the 6?
I divided the 6 by 6.
Well, what about the 6 before? That would be not.
Why didn't I divide the t by 6 here? Shh. Because you're only dividing one, not both. You with me? All right, that's important now. Everybody take a look at number 9. Hey, shh, shh. All right, here we go for number 9. What do I have to do first?
Minus 5.
Subtract 5. Very good. Square root 2x plus 15 equals 13. Now I have to do what to both sides? Square. So 2x plus 15 equals 169. Subtract 15. 2x is equal to 154. So x is equal to 77. All right, is everybody okay with that? Anybody have any issues? All right, here we go. Let's check out 11 now. Okay, so for number 11, what do I have to do first? Add 3. So I end up with 6 radical 3x over 5. Then what? Divide by 6. So radical 3/5 x is equal to 1/2, right? Not 2, but 1/2. Now I have to do what to both sides? Square both sides. So 3/5 x is equal to 1/4. Am I seeing that? Now, how do I get rid of 3/5? Multiply by the reciprocal. So x is equal to 5/12. Good review of fractions here. Everybody good? All right, let's find 13 now. Okay, 13 is where we start getting into a little bit harder because it's a quadratic. So let's see if you remember what I mean. Okay, what do I have to do to both sides, guys? So y squared equals y plus 6. Because it's a quadratic, I got to set it equal to 0. Now what do I have to do? Factor. So what do I got? Good job. And so y is equal to, or y is equal to, -2 is our extraneous solution. Why is it extraneous? Because, right, can negative equal, or can your radical be negative?
No.
Your radical cannot be negative. All right, so that's why that is no solution. 3 is okay. Okay? What? Not when I solved the equation. Do you remember this? Let me just write that out just to make sure. So you're writing it as y minus 3 equals 0, y plus 2 equals 0.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, make sure you remember that. All right, let's do another one. 15. Here we go. Now 15 is pretty tricky, so if you can do 15, I feel good. All right, let's look at 15, please. What am I going to do to both sides? Square. Come on now, you got to pay attention. So w plus 4 is equal to, now remember, w plus 4 squared is w plus 4 times w plus 4. So that becomes w squared plus 4w plus 4w plus 16. Everybody see that? And so now when you simplify and set it equal to 0, w squared plus 8w plus 16. Now you set it equal to 0, so 0 is equal to w squared plus 7w plus 12. So do I agree with that? 8 minus 1.
Oh.
So now when you factor, now remember, just because it's negative doesn't mean it's no solution. All right? So let's look over. So we're going to check our work here. If I plug -3 in, Square root of negative 3 plus 4. Does that equal negative 3 plus 4?
No. Yes.
Well, because the square root of 1 is still what? 1. Everybody agree? Now let's plug in negative 4. Is that true? Yes. So I'm trying to show you just because the answers are negative doesn't mean it's no solution. You have to plug them in to see if they work. Yes, sir.
How is the negative 3 plus 4 and the radical equal to negative 3?
Okay, can you tell me what negative 3 plus 4 is? That's why you're having trouble.
1.
That's all right, don't worry. Now you see, square root of 1, 1. You're all right. Again, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. Check your answers every time. All right, is everybody okay with now 15? All right, let's pull down 17. All right, everybody get to work on 17. All right, let's go. Work on 17.
When you put plus 2 and negative 3 on 14, what if you did positive 3 and negative 2?
That's correct.
They said you're correct.
No, the final answer, but no, the factor wouldn't be y plus 3 and y minus 2. That means the middle term would be negative.
Oh, okay. See that?
You see what I'm saying, right? All right, let's go. Come on. I want to see you working. Try to get this thing worked out. Yeah, let's have some meters. No. No, you're setting it equal to 0. Wait a minute. You're not just squaring that. There's a middle term. N squared minus 4m plus 4. You didn't square n minus 2. Remember, n minus 2 times n minus 2. You hear me? Then after that, we'll just try the next one. All right. So remember, when you square both sides, you end up with 5m minus 16 equals m squared minus 4m plus 4. Is anybody having trouble with that? Nobody's having trouble with that? Now we got to set it equal to 0. 0 equals m squared. When I subtract 5, it becomes? Thank you. Then when I add 16, wow, good job. So now we have m minus 4, m minus 5. So m could be 4 or 5. Do they both work?
Yes.
Which one doesn't work?
That works.
I got they both work. What's the matter?
How'd you get this 9m? The negative 9m? Because,
Negative 5m,
oh, it's negative? Why is the 5 a negative?
because I'm moving it to the other side.
Oh, I understand.
All right, here we go. $19, here we go. Come on. So 19, the problem is right off the bat I have to isolate. Square both sides, right? Is everybody okay with that? Everybody okay with that? Now, what do I do? Somebody tell me what that factors to. So t is equal to what? Can t be negative 4? Well, because look, if I plug it in, that becomes negative 1. Do you agree with that? The square root can't be negative. So that's an extraneous solution. 2 is the only one that works. Very good. What?
Remember 17? What was what did it factor to? Oh, okay.
All right, the bell's going to ring here in a minute, so we don't have really time for the next one. But guys, just please practice. It's not going to be that hard. Same problems, same concepts.
Is there going to be just like a couple questions from each section?
I think what I did was I went down and I just literally looked at all the odds or the evens. I don't remember which one, and I just changed the numbers. That's all I did.
So how many answers I got this?
I don't know how many. Yeah, I'm going to post the solutions, so you have all the answers.
So I'm going to figure out how many
I'm gonna do all the odds. It could be on the